Who am I to start a business, write a book, or create a podcast? Have you asked yourself this question, who am I to, before? How reframing my thoughts changed my life and how you can do this too if you want? Listen and enjoy this episode. Aloha everyone and welcome to your podcast for Joyful Serenity. My name is Pia and I am grateful to be a part of your journey in becoming. First of all, I really want to say a huge thank you to everyone who found their way to this podcast, to this show that comes straight from my heart to yours. And as this is the first international episode I'm launching on my show, I want to take a moment to just appreciate how amazing it is that we are all connected and that we are able, no matter where we all come from, to connect and share our thoughts, our feelings, and our ideas with each other. I have started this podcast out of intuition, as I have started a lot of things in my life, just because I felt that this was a good thing to do. It just felt right. Do you have these moments when you just feel like something you're doing, it's just right? There's no evidence, there's nothing on the paper that tells you that this is going to be it, but you just feel like this is something valuable and you really have the urge, the drive, the internal fire to just start it, just to start something. Maybe some of you know me from many workshops I've taught in personal development, but maybe also from teaching instructor trainings, for example, Pound Rockout Workout, which is a full body concert experience that really fuses the movement of mind and body, helps you to release your inner rock star, and just makes you feel freaking awesome. No wonder I fell in love with Pound at first strike. It just came straight to my heart. It just opened my heart in such a special way, because music has always been so special and so dear to my heart. And fusing music with movement and purpose made so much sense. And this is what I want to do in this show too. I want to give you food for thoughts. And not only food for thoughts, but like this episode is called Soup for Thoughts. Why is this episode called Soup for Thoughts? Easy, because soup for me means something warm and comforting. In a way where we are always, in a world where we are always pushed, or not always, but a lot of times pushed out of our comfort zones, I want to give you a moment or two to just sit back, relax, and give yourself, your thoughts, your mind and your body something warm and comforting, like a soup. It's also easy to digest and nourishing for your mind, body, and soul. As you heard in the beginning of this episode, I have talked about a sentence, a question that started with, who am I to? For some of us, this is a painful question. Not only for some, maybe for many. And maybe you have also asked yourself this question before and then you didn't do what you wanted to do because you thought you were not worthy enough, you were not good enough, you were not ready yet. And I want to take the chance and take this episode to tell you a little bit about my story and to empower you to maybe find something else that can help you to reframe your thoughts and the thoughts of who am I to into something else. I myself am not only a fitness instructor and a passionate group fitness expert, I'm also a psychological counselor and a theta healer, which works with brain waves, with the theta brain waves. And I have been working on my own limiting beliefs for quite some time now and found it very interesting and fun on how many levels and how deeply rooted some limiting beliefs in us actually are, and how loving and kind we can let go and also grow some other new things if we want to. And this is a very important thing. Maybe you have some drama in your life, and maybe you yourself have something to do with it, which is in 99% the case. And if there are limiting beliefs, like, for example, it is hard to do this or that, or I can't do it, I just can't, or people who earn money, a lot of money, are bad people, or I have to work in my job for at least 5 years because otherwise it doesn't look good on my vita. All of these thoughts are limiting beliefs, because who says that? These are all stories we at some point in our lives, or maybe even before we started the journey in this body on this world, we believed. So if somebody comes and tells you, hey, this juice is amazing and it will make you healthy and happy, and you like that person and you believe what they say, there's a good chance that maybe you drink the juice and you feel healthy and happy. And now you have a new belief. This is not a limiting belief, because this is probably just a good belief or just a belief that is without good or bad, just a belief. But there are some that are limiting to us. For example, life is hard. You have to work hard to enjoy life. You have to work hard to achieve something or to get a promotion, or I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. And maybe somebody told you and you just believed it. This might have happened in your childhood, that you just picked up this sentence once. Somebody told you, oh, you will never go to college, or you will never get to study, or you will never whatever. And you just believed that as a child. And this is something that is so deeply rooted. And the good news is you can always change that. You can if you want to. And this is important. So first thing is acknowledging and being aware that you have limiting beliefs, and we all do in some kind of way. And being good to yourself, being nice to yourself, and just accepting that this is what it is. There's no need to judge any of your thoughts or limiting beliefs. They are a part of you, as anything else is. So look at them with loving and kind eyes. Who am I to? I want to tell you a little story about my life. I am from Germany. I'm currently living in Bonn. I was born in Bonn. I'm currently living in Berlin. Some people listening now are like, what? She's living in Bonn? No, I'm living in Berlin, which is like the eastern part of Germany. I was born in Bonn, western part of Germany. And I have lived in Spain, on Mallorca, for 5 years. When I lived on Mallorca, and I sat together with a friend of mine, and we explored the world of digital nomads, so people that work location independent from wherever they want in the world. And I found out that this is something I would really love to do. And I also already started my journey as a Pound Icon, as a master trainer for this amazing Rockout workout, we found a great event that was called DNX, Digital Nomad Community Conference. And that was in Lisbon in Portugal. So we decided to just go there and let us inspire by some keynote speeches and just some people, like creative people that come together, 400, 500 people, to just share their energies and stories. And then let's just see what happens. My intuition said, let's go there. So I went with her and we sat there, and in the lunch break, the MC of the event asked us to make 5 new friends during lunch break. When my friend and me, we sat down in the restaurant to get something to eat, we had 2 guys joining us. One was a Portuguese guy who lived in Mozambique, and the other one was a French guy. And so they asked if they could sit down. We said yes, of course. So they sat down. We were happy we had already made 2 new friends. And then we started to talk, like the regular stuff. Where are you from? What are you doing? And after the French guy told me his story, he asked me, who are you? What are you doing? And I was like, well, I move people. And he looked at me and said, like, okay, so what do you mean? I'm like, I move people from the inside and from the outside. And then I told him about my work with energy, with people, in coaching and fitness. And while I was talking to him, he scrolled on his phone because, you know, we all had these badges where there was our name tag on and also where we are from. And he had already searched me via Google and Facebook and Instagram. And he checked all my channels while we were talking. And then he said, okay, do you have YouTube? And I was like, no, I don't have YouTube. I'm not that like. And he's like, okay, do you have a homepage? And I'm like, no, not yet, but. And he just stopped, looked at me and said, all right, I just scrolled through your Facebook. I see you're doing these live videos, right? I'm like, yeah, true. What are they about? And he's like, and I just told him like, well, I do these live videos when I get like an impulse and I get a topic that I feel the urge of talking about with people. So it might be something that happens to me on the street, a situation where people communicate with each other and that I feel weird or interesting, and I just share it with people. And he's like, okay, so you know you're doing that on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah. And you have over like 1,000, 2,000 people watching this video. And I'm like, yeah. So you think you're doing this like personally? And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm just doing it to my phone and it's not a big thing. And he's like, there are so many people watching this. And do you know what you are? And he looked at me straight in my eyes and said, you are so egoistic. Boom. That bomb dropped. And I was feeling like a little kid that just got taken away their favorite game. And I was so angry and so mad. You know, he just got to know me for 10 minutes and this guy just tells me I'm egoistic. And he's like, do you know what? You have so much to give. You have so much light to share. And just keeping that for yourself is so egoistic. There are people out there that might need to hear, and they will need to hear what you have to say, and you might save a life. And that just struck me like a thunderbolt. And the rest of the day was, I can't really even remember, but in the evening when I sat down with my friend, Melly, I started to cry. I just started to cry and told her about the story. And she said, well, okay, so what are you afraid of? And I was like, I'm afraid to show myself and what people may think of me. And she looked at me and she just said, hey, you're my friend, Pia, you're not afraid. And I'm like, yes, I am afraid. And she's like, you're doing so many things already. Why not starting? And at that point, the moment when this guy told me I was egoistic, I was so driven after that to just show him and the world that I can do better and that I can and will share the light and the energy that moves inside and through me to support others if they are in a place of darkness or in a dead-end street. So what I did, I created Victoria's Visions, my personal coaching business. And within 3 months, with my friend Melly, because she's an amazing graphic designer, I will put her into the show notes. I created my logo, my concept, my homepage. I even created a YouTube channel with my little brother and started this. So it really needed someone who told me not who am I to, but who questioned who are you not to. And this is what I want you to ask yourself. Who are you not to start your business? Who are you not to apply for that job or even for whatever it is you really, really, truly want? Who are you not to do whatever your soul tells you? Another little story to finish this episode off is that after I finished my work as the coordinator for Fitness for a Hotel chain in Spain at the end of 2018, I asked in my community on Instagram, I asked, hey, who in Germany has some time to pick me up from the airport on Tuesday when I come back from Mallorca, because I left everything I had on Mallorca. I sold my stuff. I threw it away. I gave it to charity. So after 5 years on Mallorca, I came back with only 2 suitcases, but they were too big for me to drive to my mom's house on my own with public transport. So I asked someone, and there was a young woman, and she wrote me a message on Instagram, and she said, hey, I don't know, maybe 500 people already asked if they could pick you up from the airport, but if you still need someone, I would be free on Tuesday and I would like to pick you up. And I said, of course, sure. She was the first one that answered, and I was happy she came. And then I looked at her profile, and I knew that I knew her from the hotels, that she has been on vacation with her parents in some of our hotels where I was teaching fitness. And I was like, oh, nice. So we can reconnect. The interesting thing is I never really talked to her. I had a lot more intense relationship to her parents. I remember her as always sitting beside them, not really talking much. So I didn't really know anything about her. And when I got out of the airplane in Germany and I came out and I was looking out for her, I didn't even recognize her because she was so thin and she looked so different than I had her in mind. And we hugged. We had a very, very big, intense hug. Do you know this feeling? I know at the moment we're not really hugging so much, but like this shaking, hugging, like if somebody just is like a relief, somebody's hugging you so tight, or you are hugging somebody so tight and you feel a release and relief. This is what I felt. So we ended the hug and we started the way to the car, and then immediately she stopped and she looked at me, and her voice was trembling and she was trembling, and I looked at her eyes and she looked at mine and she said, Pia, I have to tell you something. And I said, sure, what is it? And she said, you know, I had some bad years and I had a major depression and I nearly killed myself because I just couldn't take it anymore. But because you did these Facebook videos, and even I didn't even allow myself to write a comment under them because I thought nobody should see how I feel. But with your videos, you saved my life. And as you can hear right now, this is still something that moves me to the core. And I want you to know that with every action, with every time you're showing yourself, with every time you're sharing a smile and a kind word, with every action, even without knowing that you reach someone, you do reach someone. There is someone who listens. There is someone who sees. So if you think you're not ready or you think you're not good enough, who are you not to share your story? Get out with your message, whatever it is that you have to share. Bring your light out, because out there are people who need to hear and feel what you have to give. I want to finish this episode with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that goes like this: "To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded." If you like, share this episode with someone who needs or might need a loving reminder of this. I hope that it gave you some strength, maybe a little gentle push or a gentle hug. Thank you so much for listening, subscribing and rating this podcast on Apple Podcasts. I hope to hear you soon again. Infinite love and gratitude. Yours, Pia.